Namaste, everyone. Welcome to Namaste Neighbor. I'm Acharya Ganesh Jagannath, and I'm one of the priests at the Sri Lakshmi Narayan Mandir. Many of you have been on the platform before and seen some of my videos, but we're taking a new approach to Namaste Neighbor and what we're offering, and we're excited to bring to you a podcast. And we'll explain to you in a little bit how the podcast came about, the idea, and uh, just pretty much where it stemmed from. But next to me, I'm very excited to have Pandit Chadesh. I'll let him introduce himself.
Namaste, neighbor.
Namaste.
We wanted to basically come together. Acharya Ganeshji and I have a very, very long standing relationship. He's a brother to me, a mentor, a guru as well. And so he is someone that I really look up to. And I'm always blessed to be in your presence, Ganeshji, because we always have some really, really thought provoking conversations about Dharma, being young pundits, fathers, husbands, living this American life. And so I believe that it's a great time to archive our conversations, right? And really dig deep in certain areas that we're seeing not only in society today, but also on social media. I think it's a great time to kind of dive into those. I know that a lot of our conversations are backed with research, with a lot of faith, and of course our journeys as pundits and
Sure.
in the society. And I think it is also, if you don't mind me saying,
Yeah.
it's a great nod of respect and bowing to our forefathers that laid the foundation for us as pundits, as wonderful fathers, and of course mothers as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head. This is what sparked the idea to sit down and have these, not only bring our daily conversations, things that we normally talk about. If you ever wonder what pundits talk about, right? So you're going to get a feeling now when Pandit Chadesh and I get together. These topics, these various topics come up, and we kind of connect it to what we're seeing daily in our daily lives, but also what's being put out there on social media and from various sources from on different platforms, and wanted to also bring some perspective from our end. And I think you hit the nail on the head to show some respect to our forefathers and those who brought forward this knowledge. And we're trying to
Absolutely.
move that knowledge forward. Sometimes it comes in the knowledge and the culture, uh, the dharmic view that we hold comes in different ways, or it has to manifest differently in a sense of how it's being promoted. But all in all, I think it's supposed to end up in a very steady path, in a common way. Um, so, what excites you about the podcast?
So I think it's a great platform that we can really record in this space and time, where we are as a society, as Hindus. Our forefathers come from UP, Uttar Pradesh in India.
Yes.
Then they moved down to Guyana, many of Caribbean Hindus, right? Guyana, Trinidad, Jamaica, uh,
Mm.
Fiji, and the Mauritius Islands, and things like that. And so, um, and then in the 70s, 80s, a lot of our grandparents, maybe parents, moved to America.
Right.
Our grandparents moved to New York, where
Mm.
your grandfather, Dharmacharya Jadunath,
Yes.
founded the Sri Lakshmi Narayan Mandir, and was supported by the community there. My grandparents, Pandit Daya, and his wife was very instrumental and is part of the founding members. And
Mhm.
so now, we've grown up a lot in New York and now Florida, where we help with the Sri Lakshmi Narayan Mandir. And so I think that it's a great archive for our, not only our peers, our friends, and our family, but also our children, grandchildren, to answer questions of the time, where we want to base what we're talking about back to, and tying it back to our religious texts and our dharma, but also answering questions that we would have loved our parents, grandparents, great grandparents to maybe have commented on as well.
Absolutely.
I always wish that our forefathers maybe had a little bit more writing or recordings that we could always go back to, and we have a fair amount as well. But I
Sure.
think it's a great way to memorialize our thoughts and what we're seeing in the world today.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Kind of highlights the benefit of uh, technology and the
Mm-hmm.
things that we're able to do today, communicate very fast and send information, gather information. But nothing, everything that has that upside, it also has the consequences to it. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's something that we talk about a lot as well.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So is there something that that piqued your interest, that you're
Yes,
noticing?
absolutely. I know that when we look at the Western world, right, where
Mhm.
we've grown up in, and we've held our culture very close to us, and how we live our lives, and how we raise our families, and go out there in the workforce and things like that. Our religion, our way of life, is kind of very, very dear to us. We hold it very near into everything we do. However, I've noticed that a lot of our culture or way of life, in Sanatan Dharma, has been kind of picked and chosen what folks want to use, and it's kind of looked at as this very easy way of life, right? So
Mhm.
you kind of look at the yoga centers that are here, and yoga has taken off in our country and here in the U.S. And it's not necessarily traditional yoga like you've studied in India. It's really just kind of what feels good, and passing on that knowledge. And in fact, I was in another state, and I saw Christ conscious yoga, and it was a yoga studio where
Uh-huh.
you
All
could
right. Yeah.
you could go, and so it was made me think. It was like, I would like to hear a little bit more about what your views are on Dharma, and how you think that maybe some of the actual work as a Hindu happens. Is it all just everything is great and everyone is harmonious, or is there work to be done internally? Is there difficulty in the path of a seeker?
Yeah. Great questions. Um, yeah. So one thing I liked what you said in that beginning piece, where I see it a lot today as well, where people, they, especially when they are, if they're new to our religion, or they are trying to find more information, um, and even those who have grown up in the religion, there is a lot of cherry picking that happens,
Mm.
where they trying to circumvent what is uncomfortable in the spiritual path. And that is a problem, because in spiritual journey, and when you're looking, when you're a seeker and you're looking for what we will all, just for lack of a better term, truth.
Mhm.
Truth doesn't truth doesn't mean that if you're pursuing a path and you are experiencing divine or spiritual um, presence, it doesn't negate what other people are experiencing on what we would say is a different path. However, you can't circumvent or cut and paste or make it convenient, have an agenda with it then,
Mhm.
just to suit what you want. It's not a buffet
Mhm.
where you're building a plate and you're choosing everything that you want, to have this perfect plate. The spiritual journey is a very hard journey, and that's what most people, they either don't understand or they don't want to understand.
Mhm.
They don't accept, or they simply don't accept because they don't know, or they choose right out not to accept because certain things don't fit their mold. It doesn't fit their worldview, or it doesn't fit what they deem is the truth. So what they do is they make religion convenient. They take the things that are nice, or they try to twist and turn things to make it fit in a certain view, and it may sound great. It may sound wonderful, the way that they fit things, but it doesn't make it correct.
Right.
And what they do there is they end up spoiling their own spiritual path, because they're making it, or trying to make it, soft. The spiritual journey is a it's a it's a journey that you will go through suffering. In order to grow spiritually, you will face lots of challenges. There's going to be parts of you that you took years building up and finding, Then all of a sudden, when you start the spiritual journey, that part of you realize is no good.
Mhm.
It's hard to come to terms with that. And that's what people don't like. And
Right.
so what do? They try to make scriptures suit them. I say this a lot in the temple. I'm sure you've heard it in the preachings that we do, but it's not for us to change scripture to suit us. We have to look at ourselves to see what we can change to suit the parameters of what the scriptures approve of.
Absolutely. I love that.
Yeah.
You know, like you have these very deep and philosophical tenets of Hinduism, like the word namaste, which is I bow to that divinity which is in you, which is in myself as well. But then there are tenets like vairagya, which means detachment, right? Or tapasya, which is penance. And of course, like vrat, where it's like a sacred observance. And these are not paths that are very easy to kind of follow through, right? And so there's an emotional component there. There's physical components that one must go through. And I know that in, you know, Hindus that follow a certain sadhana, sometimes it's decades that they'll see a result, or lifetimes that they may see a result. And so it's not always just an easy path as a Hindu.
Yeah, absolutely. The word there is abhyas. Abhyas means practice, practitioner, or to put into practice.
Right.
So things like tapasya, vairag, keeping vrat, these are not ornaments per se. Like, you know, the people do it as a form of decoration to highlight themselves as spiritual. They don't know the meaning between spiritual and religious, and they don't. Some people, they say, "I'm not religious, I'm spiritual." Some people say have no spirituality and they're very religious, and trying to find that balance or connection between the two. Maybe we can talk about that on another episode.
I think so.
That's actually a very good one to dive into, because I'm sure you've heard it. There's many people that give up religion because they claim spirituality, and then there's people that are so very forward in their religion, and they have no spirituality. There's no connection there other than a surface view. And so that's a good topic. That's a good one to
absolutely
approach.
I definitely see that being an episode
in
the future.
Absolutely.
Which brings me to a thought that kind of came up when thinking about this topic, right? It's, you know, the Ambanis, the billionaire family in India. They had a birthday satsang. We'd call it a satsang. For many decades, if not centuries, whenever there's a celebration, you'll have kirtan chanting, bhajan chanting, people, you know, enjoying that type of celebration. And so they did something similar in India, right, for a birthday celebration. And it kind of fed into this phenomenon that's known as, now quoted as, bhajan jamming or bhajan clubbing. And so from what we're hearing, it's a huge phenomenon, not only in the West, but across India as well, North India to be exact, where Hindi is the main language, right? You know, and so we're hearing that this is the way that the youth are now, you know, getting into Hinduism or connecting with their spirituality. In fact, Prime Minister Modi just kind of signed off or co-signed that this is like a great way to fuse the new generation and our age-old culture.
Sure.
So I'm curious to hear your thoughts on, you know, where you think the future of this is, and having a musical background as well, like myself, where we have been involved in satsang our entire lives. Is this a form of satsang, and what are your thoughts?
Sure. Yes. It's a great question. And the beauty of Sanatan Dharma is it recognizes where everybody has to start from. Like everything else is, you know, we can put on a spectrum. We can do so with satsang, right? For example, food, right? So we can put food on a spectrum of what would we consider tamasic, meaning not good food, all the way to sattvic, which is what the scriptures recommend as sattvic food. But then within the sattvic food, which are the best? So what is the lower end of the sattvic, and what is the higher end of the sattvic?
Right.
So satsang is the same thing. So in satsang, we can look at it as, I would view that as the lower end of satsang. So what do I mean by that? Okay, let's look at the positives. you have groups of people getting together, right, for a good purpose or hopefully a good intent. You have chanting of the name of God, and I'm guessing the claim there is because it's bhajans and spiritual songs or kirtan that's being sung. Um, are it, describe to me the environment. Is it like a real clubbing type of environment, or is there drinking and smoking and all of those types of
from
things? Or?
from what I understand, it's a venue that is like a concert venue,
Okay.
and it's you have the musicians at
Mhm.
the front like you would a concert with the band, and the attendees are front, kind of facing the band.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so in our mandir, we have the murtis that we are looking at, and when we're doing our kirtans, we
Mhm.
are facing the murtis, and
Sure.
in this environment, you're facing what appears to be like the band,
Mhm.
and so it's reminiscent of that, but it's not necessarily in line with our normal kirtan chanting.
Sure.
From what I, to the credit of these, these folks, they are not drinking or there's no intoxication.
Okay.
It's really just a party for God, or
Okay.
Bhagwan. And there's dancing and things like that. And
Mhm.
so, it appears to be something that's really connecting with the young, Gen Zers, if you will.
So I'm very interested to know then what is making that connection.
Mm.
Is it is it actually the name of God and chanting, and they're excited about that, or are they excited about the environment, the heavy beats, getting to dance and do the things without worrying about getting in trouble
Mm.
legally or by their parents, or and enjoying a beat? So what's really the draw there?
Yeah.
Is it truly satsang where the name of Bhagwan is getting them to go, or is it just the hype of the environment,
Right.
the clubbing environment? So why do we have to equate something like clubbing and partying and all these things? Why do we have to equate that with satsang?
Mm.
Why do they have to be together? So if the claim is that we're doing this to draw the attention of the younger folks to satsang, that's good. That's a good intention. But now that you got them and they're hooked, right? You got their attention and they're in this what you claim is satsang.
Mm-hmm.
Where does it go from there?
Yeah,
Are they
absolutely.
trapped in this cycle or this high of now it always have to celebrate God or to chant or to do, or to sing His name? Does it always have to be in that type of environment?
Mm. Mm.
So are you more attached to the environment and the mode, or you are attached to the intent in which it's supposed to move you to?
Right.
So if the intent is to move you to now beyond that environment, if that was a stepping stone to get you beyond, to get you to notice God, to get you to love Him, to get you to build your faith, and then you go into what is, for lack again of, for understanding's sake, I'm going to say scripturally approved.
Right. Right.
If that if that gets you into that mode and it takes you there, that's great. But if bhajan jamming and bhajan clubbing and all of these things are fancy titles just to to have a party, it doesn't matter
Mm.
what is being played or what is happening. um, it's more of an attachment to the environment,
Right.
not, I wouldn't say, the name of God.
Absolutely. No, I love that. So, we see in the Bhagavatam, and in the Ramayana, the Ramcharitmanas, the nine forms of devotion,
Yeah.
and the first is usually Shravanam,
Mm-hmm.
hearing the name of God, or Kirtanam is the second. And so, you're saying that it is like stepping stones, right, to get to Bhagwan. This is, devotees or youngsters should not just stop here at this level. They
Right.
should begin to climb that ladder or
Mm-hmm.
climb those stairs to look inward. I always say
Yeah.
satsang is great. It's a group environment, and
Mm-hmm.
you need that as a Hindu, but it's also introspective as well. You should look inward, whether that's through
Mm-hmm.
meditation or your prayers or daily sadhana.
But they should understand the meaning of satsang too.
Mm.
So if
Hmm.
you're going to dilute the meaning of something for an excuse to do with something how you want, then you're not doing justice to yourself or the scripture.
Right.
So again, it's not a knock. It's, I mean, it's, there's good intention behind it, but it must take you beyond that.
Sure.
But that's not only true for this type of practice, it's true for any practice. So even a sadhu or a saint that is meditating and doing the things that, again, let's say scripturally approved,
Mhm.
right? And in the mode that we would normally think traditionally how somebody practices, or what they do to practice their devotion and tapasya and things like that, they can't stay there. It must lead to something. They must go beyond that practice, or it has to become more intense in a way where it's, you you do to not do, meaning that the practice is there for you to move on. So you don't stay in kindergarten forever, right? Kindergarten exists for you to go to 1st. And so if you're going to stay in kindergarten and claim it, and then claim you have PhD because you know everything there is to know about kindergarten, you have just isolated and locked yourself into a world, or into a mode that has no growth. So you have to ask yourself a couple questions. Well, what's your purpose? Is your purpose just for enjoyment? Well, if it is, then fine, do that. But if your purpose is truly to make more connection with God, if your truly is to your motive is truly to grow spiritually, then you have to realize that where you are, you cannot stay. You must move from there. Uh, that is a stepping stone. You can say that that is a stepping stone for people, but they have to be able to move beyond that. And so you mentioned the 9 forms of devotion, right? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnum, right? You know, another name for Vishnu is Hari. You know what Hari means?
It means to bring in or steal.
Right. To steal the hearts of the devotees.
Right.
When that happens, when these experiences happen, your mind naturally will give up. Your mind, your intellect, your very being will naturally give up that which is not good for you. And so you might say, well, Pandit Ganesh, Acharya Ganesh, how can you say this environment or the singing of God's name in this environment is not good for you? I never said that. However, if you are, is it good for a PhD student? I come back to this because it's easy to understand. Is it good for a PhD student to spend all their time in the kindergarten classroom trying to get that degree? Absolutely not. So once you have moved past that point, then your own spirituality will tell you that this is not good for you anymore. Now, what do I mean by that? It's not the name of God. It's not what's being chanted. It's the mode. The vehicle is no good. You must go beyond that. Go to the appropriate vehicle that will move you now forward. And so that is, I think, is one of the big things where bhajan jamming, clubbing, whatever you want to call it, it should not be replacement for what the scriptures promote. And what the scriptures say. Actually, in Bhagavad Gita chapter 16, the last verses, when in doubt, you go to your shastra. Shastra will dictate and tell you what is right from wrong. And if you yourself are not able to do that, then that is where the learned ones, those who study shastra, Lord Krishna says that you go and you put your trust in them, and they will guide you.
Right. I love that. Thank you. Yeah, that's an excellent observation into it. I do want to say I did in the beginning talk about satsang, and that we usually call these gatherings satsang. This is satsang,
yes,
right? And
absolutely.
so this bhajan phenomenon that's happening in these concert halls or dance halls or whatever you want to call it, would you equate that word satsang? Did you want to explain that as to what satsang means? And maybe it's not the right word for this type of gathering, perhaps.
So satsang has many components to it. A lot of, like, you remember when I said people stop to where it's convenient for them? So they're taking the word satsang in order to justify or to make something like this bhajan clubbing and so on seem like that satsang has no parameters. and you not only dilute, but you devalue the word satsang. Satsang is much more than just a gathering. It's much more than a gathering chanting the name of Bhagwan, which that's primary, right? Chanting, speaking the name of God, satsang. However, other components to it is who are you gathering with? What's your company? Number one. Number two, what's the objective in the satsang? So singing, chanting the name of Bhagwan, all of that, good. Third, you must be gaining some kind of knowledge, wisdom in satsang. In the gathering, there should be learned persons expounding on the glories of God and developing internal introspection, where someone looks internally and finds joy there. The bhajan clubbing and so on, again, it's a great first step, trying to gain the attention of folks, trying to gain the interest of our younger generation and getting them interested. But it should not be a replacement now for the path of introspection.
Right.
Because again, it comes, the connection there, the engagement of it is outward. It's more of, oh wow, this is a beat, I'm dancing, I'm having fun. That's what you're attracted to. It just happens to be with the name of God. You would be doing the same thing if it was a reggae concert. Or would you be doing the same thing? So would you have the same enjoyment if it was a rap concert or a rock concert or this concert or that concert? Do you interact and feel the same way? Do you get that same high? Well, then you cannot claim that it's because of the name of God. If it is the name of God and it's the chanting and bhajans, you would feel that same joy in the mandir, or feel that same joy if it was traditionally, or feel that same joy if you yourself were sitting. Why is the need for the club jamming, right? So the club jamming is the hook. It's grabbing you. But now you have to ask yourself the question, well, what am I really attracted to? Is it the club jamming and all of that? Or is it what is directly in it, which is the name of God? And so that's where internally now, that you have to, it shows a level of growth. So you have to cultivate that type of feeling. And you will know, every individual will know when they've moved past a certain point.
Right. I love it. And so the path of Dharma is not a smooth, easygoing path.
No.
It is a path that you have to defend and uphold.
Yes.
And there will be challenges, right? Like from what you're saying, it's not going to be just a great party all the time. There will be a path that you need to work at and also look introspectively. Well, thank you, Acharya Ganeshji.
No, thank you.
Looking forward to continuing these conversations in Dharma, giving the Dharmic perspective. And Namaste Neighbor.
Okay, Namaste Neighbor. Yes. Thank you.